The greatest battles of your life are not always fought on the outside, but within the chambers of your own mind. You can appear strong on the outside, smiling, walking with confidence, yet if your thoughts are heavy, restless, and captive, your life feels like a prison. But if the mind is renewed, even when the world outside looks broken, you carry peace, strength, and hope that cannot be shaken. That is why the renewal of thought is not just an option. It is the pathway to transformation. We are told that as a person thinks in their heart, so are they. Your thoughts are not passing shadows, they are seeds. Every seed you plant in the soil of your mind will one day grow into actions, habits, and eventually the story of your life. If you keep planting seeds of worry, you will reap fear. If you keep planting seeds of bitterness, you will reap division. But if you dare to plant seeds of truth, gratitude, and hope, you will reap joy, purpose, and peace. The challenge is that the mind does not naturally renew itself. By default, it drifts toward what the world pours into it. News cycles, fears of tomorrow, regrets of yesterday, voices of discouragement, all of these create patterns. And patterns, once repeated, become strongholds. You may feel like you are trapped in a cycle of negative thinking. But here is the truth: cycles can be broken, strongholds can fall, and thought patterns can be rewired. The first step is awareness. What thoughts are you feeding your mind daily? Do you notice that the first moments of the morning are often filled with scrolling, with worries about what's waiting, or with replaying the past? The beginning of the day is sacred. It sets the rhythm of the hours that follow. Instead of filling it with noise, fill it with stillness, reflection, and words of life. When the first words you hear in the morning lift you up, your mind takes a different direction. Think of it like this. Your thought life is a garden. Every day, weeds try to enter. They don't ask permission. They don't wait for your schedule. Worries, doubts, jealousy, anger, these weeds show up. If you do not remove them, they spread. Renewal begins when you decide to be the gardener of your thoughts. You uproot what does not belong, and you intentionally plant what brings life. Renewal is not passive, it is active. It requires discipline but also brings freedom. One of the most powerful truths about thought life is this: you cannot always control the first thought that enters your mind, but you can control whether it stays. A bird may fly over your head, but you don't have to let it build a nest. In the same way, a thought may come, anxious, tempting, discouraging, but you have the authority to dismiss it, replace it, speak against it. You are not a prisoner to your thoughts. You are the gatekeeper. There was once a man who lived in constant defeat. He believed he was unworthy, and every failure confirmed that belief. But the moment he began replacing the lie with truth, his entire life shifted. When failure came, instead of saying, "I am worthless," he began to declare, "I am learning. I am growing." His mind was renewed, and with it, his future changed. This is the mystery of renewal. Outwardly, nothing may shift immediately, but inwardly everything changes. You may still face the same job, the same challenges, the same responsibilities, but with a renewed mind, you carry a new perspective. Problems that once crushed you now become opportunities. Delays that once frustrated you now become seasons of preparation. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is being shaped in me?" But here is something deeper. Renewal does not just change what you think, it changes how you see. Imagine standing in front of a dirty window. The world outside is beautiful, but all you see are smudges. Once the glass is cleaned, you realize the beauty was always there. You just couldn't perceive it. Renewal cleans the lens of the mind so that you can see the goodness, the possibilities, and the hope that were always present. Now let us go further. The renewal of thought is not just about positive thinking. It is about alignment. Alignment with truth that is unchanging. Alignment with promises that are eternal. alignment with a perspective that sees beyond the temporary. Positive thinking can lift you for a moment, but alignment transforms you for a lifetime. Renewal anchors you in something deeper than circumstances. One day you may face storms. Renewal does not remove the storm, but it equips you to walk through it without losing peace. Your mind is no longer tossed by waves of fear because it has been renewed with assurance. When others see only defeat, your renewed mind sees an opening. When others give up, your renewed mind keeps pressing forward. This is the power of thought that has been transformed. You must also understand this renewal is daily. Just as your body needs daily bread, your mind needs daily renewal. Yesterday's strength will not carry you through today's battles. Every morning, every evening, you have the opportunity to choose what you will plant in your garden. Will it be gratitude or complaint? Hope or despair? Trust or fear? So let today be the beginning. Begin small. Replace one negative thought with one word of life. When fear whispers that you are not enough, speak truth that you are equipped for every good work. When worry says the future is hopeless, remind yourself that tomorrow is not yet written, and every page can still hold redemption. And here is the beauty: as you renew your mind, your life becomes a testimony. Others will see the peace you carry, the strength you walk in, the joy that cannot be stolen. They will ask, "How can you remain steady?" And your answer will not be about luck or circumstances, but about the renewal of thought. Let me leave you with this. Do not wait for perfect conditions to renew your mind. Begin now, in the middle of your imperfection, in the middle of your struggles. Renewal begins where you are, with the decision to change what you allow to take root. The garden of your mind is waiting. Plant carefully, remove faithfully, and watch as your thought life transforms, not just your inner world, but everything around you. If the renewal of thought begins with planting the right seeds, then the second stage is learning how to protect the garden of your mind. Because once you start cultivating life, giving thoughts, distractions, doubts, and pressures will come to choke them. Renewal is not a one-time event. It is a process that must be guarded. Imagine a farmer who plants a beautiful vineyard but never builds a fence around it. What happens? Wild animals come, thieves enter, and storms damage what was planted. The same is true for your thought life. You may have started to renew your mind, but if you do not guard it, old patterns will try to sneak back in. Renewal demands both planning and protecting. So how do you guard your mind? The first shield is awareness of your influences. Your thoughts are often shaped by the voices you allow closest to you. If you spend hours feeding on fear-filled news, it is no surprise when anxiety takes root. If your closest conversations revolve around gossip or bitterness, then it is natural for your thoughts to mirror the same. Protecting your mind means choosing your inputs carefully. What goes in will eventually come out. This is not about isolating yourself, but about being discerning. Just as you filter the water you drink, you must filter the content you consume. Ask yourself, does this strengthen my faith or weaken it? Does this inspire hope or drain it? Does this align with truth or distort it? Little by little, the influences you accept either build your renewal or tear it down. The second shield is gratitude. Gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a weapon against negativity. When the mind is filled with gratitude, fear has no room to dominate. When you train your thoughts to notice blessings instead of burdens, your perspective shifts. A grateful mind is a guarded mind. It refuses to allow bitterness to set in because it keeps remembering what has been given. Think of a person walking through a storm while holding a lamp. The rain still falls, the winds still blow, but the lamp gives light with every step. Gratitude is that lamp. It does not remove every challenge, but it lights your path through them. Each day, choose to list even the smallest blessings. Over time, gratitude reshapes the way your mind processes life. The third shield is discipline and thought replacement. A renewed mind is not empty, it is full. When a negative thought enters, you do not simply try to push it away, you replace it with truth. If you only resist without replacing, the thought returns stronger. But when you counter it with a higher truth, you weaken its power. For example, if your thought says, "I cannot handle this," you replace it with, "I have overcome before, and I will overcome again." Renewal requires a constant exchange: lies for truth, fear for courage, despair for hope. Now, let's go deeper. Renewal of the mind is not only about protecting yourself from negativity, it is about preparing yourself for vision. Many people live with small, limited thoughts because they have been trained by failure or fear. But renewal lifts your vision. It reminds you that your current situation does not define your destiny. Your renewed mind begins to dream again, to imagine again, to believe again. But here comes the challenge: when your vision grows, resistance also grows. The moment you begin to think bigger, voices will tell you it's impossible. The moment you begin to break old patterns, pressure will try to pull you back into them. This is where the renewed mind shows its strength. Instead of bowing to resistance, it uses resistance as confirmation that change is happening. Resistance becomes proof that you are leaving the old behind. There was once a story told of two wolves living inside each person. One wolf of fear, anger, and defeat, the other wolf of courage, faith, and peace. Which wolf wins? The one you feed. Renewal is about choosing daily which wolf will grow. Every thought, every word, every focus either strengthens the wolf of life or the wolf of destruction. The power is not outside of you. It is in your choices. Another dimension of guarding your thought life is rest. The mind cannot be renewed if it is always restless. Constant busyness, constant noise, constant striving leaves no space for clarity. Renewal requires moments of stillness where you pause and allow your mind to breathe. Silence is not emptiness, it is soil where deeper truths can take root. Many breakthroughs happen not when you are rushing, but when you are still enough to hear what really matters. And let us not forget, renewal transforms relationships. When your thought life changes, the way you treat others changes too. A bitter mind sees enemies everywhere, but a renewed mind sees opportunities for reconciliation. A fearful mind isolates itself, but a renewed mind builds bridges. Even in conflict, a renewed mind looks for peace. Even in disappointment, it looks for lessons. Your renewal is not just for your benefit, it becomes a gift to those around you. Now, I want to point out something many overlook. Sometimes renewal begins by confronting the hidden lies you have believed for years. Lies such as, "I am not enough," "I will always fail," "things will never change." These lies have lived so long in the background of your thoughts that they feel natural. But they are not truth. To renew your thought life, you must expose these lies and replace them. When you name them, you rob them of power. When you declare truth in their place, you begin to live differently. And here is the surprising part: renewal is not always comfortable. The mind often clings to what is familiar, even if it is harmful. When you begin renewing your thoughts, there may be moments of tension. Old habits will resist. But discomfort is the evidence of growth. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, your mind grows sharper through the discipline of renewal. So as you continue this journey, remember these three pillars: guard your influences, cultivate gratitude, and practice replacement of lies with truth. Each day, these practices strengthen the walls of your renewed mind until negative patterns can no longer enter as easily. Your thought life is not meant to be a battlefield forever. It is meant to be a place of peace, clarity, and vision. You were not designed to be a prisoner of worry, fear, or bitterness. You were designed to walk with a renewed mind, able to see beyond the immediate, able to rise above the temporary, able to live in freedom. And so I say to you today, take courage. Protect what you have planted. Do not let discouragement uproot your progress. Do not let old patterns convince you that change is impossible. The very fact that you have begun shows that renewal is already working within you. Stand firm, guard your mind, and continue planting seeds of life. For in due season, your thoughts will produce a harvest that not only transforms you but blesses everyone connected to you. We have spoken about planting seeds of life and guarding the garden of your mind. But the journey of renewal does not end there. Renewal is not simply about defense, it is about transformation, shaping a completely new way of living. It is one thing to remove weeds and protect the soil. It is another to see your thought life grow into a forest of strength, vision, and peace that touches every part of your being. The final step is not just to think differently, but to live differently. Because when the mind is renewed, the whole life follows. Thoughts shape words, words shape choices, choices shape habits, and habits shape destiny. Renewal of thought is the seed, but transformation of life is the fruit. One of the greatest mistakes people make is separating thought from action. They say, "It's only in my head, it doesn't matter." But what lives in your head eventually leaks into your heart. And what fills your heart eventually guides your steps. That is why the renewal of thought is so powerful. It reshapes not just your inner world, but your outer world as well. Consider the example of someone who always thought, "I cannot succeed." That thought led them to avoid opportunities. Avoided opportunities led to stagnation. Stagnation confirmed the thought of failure. The cycle continued until the thought became a prophecy fulfilled. But once that person began to renew their thought, even slightly, saying instead, "I may stumble, but I can grow," new opportunities were embraced. Growth began, and success started to follow. Renewal broke the cycle. Here lies the lesson: your life follows the direction of your dominant thoughts. If your thoughts are renewed, your direction changes. You begin to walk a new path, not by striving harder, but by thinking differently. But renewal also has another dimension: purpose. A renewed mind no longer asks only, "What can I gain?" but "What was I made for?" Renewal shifts the focus from survival to significance. Instead of simply thinking about how to get through the day, you begin to see each day as a chance to fulfill a greater calling. Even the smallest tasks take on meaning because a renewed mind sees the bigger picture. And here is the beauty: purpose gives endurance. When the journey is difficult, a mind without purpose gives up. But a renewed mind, anchored in purpose, keeps pressing on. Challenges become part of the training. Delays become part of the preparation. Disappointments become stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. Renewal allows you to see what others miss, that every season has value and every trial has the potential to shape strength. But let us address something deeper. Many people try to renew their minds, but keep circling back to old ways because they have never released the past. Renewal is impossible if you are still chained to yesterday. Guilt, shame, regret. These are like weights dragging your thoughts down. A renewed mind chooses to release the past, not by ignoring it, but by refusing to let it define the future. The past can teach you, but it should not imprison you. Think of it like sailing. If you keep throwing your anchor behind you, you will never move forward, no matter how strong the wind. Renewal is lifting the anchor of the past so the winds of change can carry you into new waters. You cannot enter tomorrow while still rehearsing yesterday. The renewed mind says, "I am not who I used to be. I am not defined by what I failed at. I am free to become new." Now, let's uncover another truth: renewal is contagious. When one person renews their thought life, it impacts others. A family is changed when one member chooses to think differently. A workplace is transformed when one person carries peace instead of stress. A community shifts when one voice begins speaking hope instead of despair. Your renewal is not only for you, It is a ripple that spreads far beyond what you see. But here comes a challenge. What do you do when discouragement tries to return? Because no matter how renewed you are, life will test you. Old thoughts may try to whisper again. If fear may try to creep back in. In those moments, you must remind yourself renewal is not a destination you arrive at once. It is a daily journey. You renew again and again. You refuse to go back. You rise each morning and choose truth again. That is how renewal remains strong. And let me say this, renewal does not mean perfection. Do not confuse the two. A renewed mind still has battles, but it now has weapons to fight them. A renewed mind may still feel fear, but it does not surrender to it. A renewed mind may still face moments of doubt, but it no longer lets doubt make the final decision. Renewal is not about never falling, it is about rising faster each time you fall. Sometimes the most renewed thought you can carry is this: I am still on the journey. You may not be where you want to be, but you are no longer where you were. Progress is proof of renewal. Do not despise the small steps. Each one is evidence that the process is working. Now imagine your life 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, if you continue this path. Imagine the peace that will flow through your mind when fear no longer rules you. Imagine the strength you will carry when your thoughts align with truth instead of lies. Imagine the influence you will have when your words are filled with life instead of negativity. That is the power of a renewed thought life. It shapes the future in ways you cannot yet see. And so, let this be the conclusion of the journey. Renewal begins with planting seeds of life. Renewal continues with guarding the garden of your mind. Renewal flourishes when it transforms your life into purpose, freedom, and influence. The garden of your thoughts is no longer barren. It is no longer filled with weeds. It is alive, growing, and spreading life all around you. And though storms may come, though doubts may knock, the roots of your renewed mind are deep, unshakable, and filled with hope. So rise each day with this commitment. I will not let my thoughts be dictated by fear, regret, or negativity. I will renew my mind daily. I will plant seeds of life. I will guard my peace. I will live with purpose. And I will be a light to others. That is the call of renewal. That is the gift of transformation. And that is the life you were meant to live.